Hey there again, everybody. We're back with our first update on our XB-70 Valkyrie build. A lot of you guys seem like you're interested in this. Appreciate all the viewers that tuned in for our introductory video on building this. This is going to be a really cool model. A lot of the commenters in the introductory video kind of warned me about this being a putty monster. They had built the kit. It's not really because it's a bad fitting model, you guys. It's just you do have a lot of seams that you need to cover up. The seams fit good, but it's a huge model. You can see I'm backed off quite a ways here just to get the rear part of the model in the picture, and I don't even have the forward part of it put on yet. But yeah, you're going to use some putty on this model for sure. But everything is smoothing out really good and fitting really good. I'm not having any problems at all so far. I did a little bit of work on this last night during the Super Bowl, and during about, 3.5 hours or so, I got the whole entire back half put together. You can see I've got the little wing extensions put on here, and my plan was I was going to build this model in supersonic mode. And it turns out that when you sit the model on the gear, which you can see I've got those built here, a little bit of a wash on the struts and everything, but I've got the wheels all painted up to look like that special silver coating that that they used on this airplane. When I had it sitting on the gear here, when you had the wings droop down, they actually would touch the ground and keep the gear from actually touching the ground. So that's not going to work out. I played around with the idea about doing some kind of hinge with this, but you have to make this really all this detail here and everything, and I decided just to go ahead and put the wings on straight like that. And there's a lot of shots of the airplane flying around during testing with the wings and that attitude and the gear down when they were doing their first flight test, so that'll kind of represent that. And but yeah, it's going to work out all good in the end. The main part of the build here, guys, from what I can tell so far, is this whole assembly down here. You've got this three-part wing structure here. You got the two halves that I showed you that you put together, and then you got the inner parts that kind of interlock in here, and then these seams here, you can see I've already gone ahead and I've been working on getting those taken care of. I've got my last coat of primer on here before I checked everything, and everything's been smoothed out now, and once I prime it again, it'll all look really good. Then we put this little top piece on here. It's got some edges that it sits on here. It fit together really good, and it went down nice and flat and all that, so I glued it. But you can see we've got a seam here now that we're going to have to come and fill in. Now this I'm going to be doing with the method that I always talk about. You guys have seen me do a million times here because I just love the way it works. I'm going to be using this little syringe tool here with some of my perfect plastic putty, and I'll just come in right along here and just make a tiny little bead all the way around this seam right here, and then I'll let it dry for maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and I'll come back with some wet Q-tips, and I'll just smooth it all out and wipe away all the excess putty. That way we won't lose any. There's some really faint scribed panel lines that you might be able to see. They'll show up a little bit better once this has been painted. But it won't wipe. So when we use this method of doing our putty work, instead of just taking our regular putty, just taking our finger and smudging it on down here, we won't wipe out any of that panel detail, and we'll get a nice smooth transition from this area to this area. And we won't even have to do any sanding, because once we wipe that down with the white Q-tip, it'll the wet Q-tip, it will completely smooth that out all on its own. So that's what I'm going to be doing on all the other areas that are like that. But you can see I got the wings all done here. We've got this seam up on the top that's going to need the same thing, just like this. We'll be coming on down, getting that all sealed up, and then the forward part goes on like this. And you can see once you get this part on here, guys, this thing starts to get like massively huge. You can see the paint cans for scale there in the background, but this model, if you probably put a little Cox engine on it, it could probably fly. I mean, it's just gigantic. It's a lot bigger than I actually anticipated it being, but that's okay. I'm enjoying the kit, and we're going to hang it up in my display room anyway, so I'm not worried about the size too much. But yeah, everything's going according to plan. Here's the tail fins that I've got done with the markings that I'm going to be using, and I'm using this duplicolor paint system here, which I've just recently started trying, started to use some of their actual spray cans. And I'll use spray cans every once in a while if it's convenient and it's a color that I like. Normally I spray everything out of a gun or an airbrush, but I really like this little system. This is good paint. It's an acrylic-based paint. It's not the old enamel or lacquer that they used to use. It's a really good paint, and it dries really smooth. And the thing that I really like about it is that it dries really fast. This white, I spray it on in probably 15 minutes. You can actually handle it and not put any fingerprints in it. And then I coated it with once I put all the decals on, I coated it with a seal coat of this matte clear, which actually over top of the gloss, this actually dries fairly glossy. Over top of the gloss, it gives me the sheen, that I'm looking for on this. The aircraft in the museum that I've been looking at, it's fairly shiny, but we don't want to make this small model like super shiny, or it'll look really like a toy. You have to dull down that shine a little bit when you're making it smaller, like, to represent the scale and all that. So this is more of a satin gloss, and it's got, a nice little sheen to it. If I let the light hit it the right way, you'll see it's got a little bit of a shine to it, but not like a, car paint finish. So that's what we're going to be looking for on that. Everything's coming along really good, though. I'm expecting to get the, probably this evening, I'm going to work on getting these other seams here taken care of, get this all sanded down, and then this whole section here will be ready for primer. Now, what I did too here is you build these little air intake scoops here at the front. I've got some paper towels stuffed in there now, but what I did is, since that's so deep, you guys, I went ahead and painted all that to begin with. It's already been painted white and all that. Now, if we get a little overspray on up here when we paint the rest of it, that's fine. But I was worried about not being able to get paint way back in there, once you're trying to paint all this from the outside. So I painted all that, and then I painted the inner grills in the very back black like they're supposed to be. So when you look at the plane from dead on, you get a little, black area back there where it doesn't look white, and that'll look really good. So just kind of a little heads up on that. They go back in there pretty far, so I was worried I wouldn't be able to get paint back in there, just trying to force it in there with my spray, and then it'll start getting really thick where you're trying to blast it in or whatever too. So part of the detail here in the back is where the engines go. Now, this little panel that goes in right here, we're going to be painting that kind of a metallic gunmetal, and then we got our little nozzles, which I've got those drying over here. And everything's working out really good with that too. I'm going to do a little bit of a wash on those and get those looking spiffy. But what I'm going to be doing that's going to look nice on this is, after this has all been painted, I'm going to come back in here and bring on all these little panel details by using probably a pencil, probably a lead pencil or something like that. Yeah, like a architect type pencil that can do a really fine line on all these and bring all these out, and they'll look really sharp on there. We got a lot of decal markings that have to go on it too. It's going to be a really cool looking airplane when it's done. And my SR-71 kit's on the way. I ordered that from Mega Hobby. They have it now in stock. So I should be getting that kit before this one's done, actually, and then I might go right into building that when we're finished with this one. Depends on what kind of a mood I'm in, if I want to do that or some more sci-fi, but we'll just kind of surprise you guys. I'll be back in another couple days with another update on this, everybody, and I'm glad to see you guys are interested in it. It's a really neat kit, and it's going to be pretty spectacular when it's done as far as size goes. So we'll see you for the next update, everybody. Take care out there, and happy modeling, everyone.